So students, in the other video, we looked at writing to a Python file. So let's just have a quick recap of writing to a file. So in this line here, we used the write mode to actually create a text file from scratch. So Python made a text document in the same directory as the Python file exists. And we just commented that out and then used the append mode to add to an existing file. Because the write mode made the file in the first place, it exists. And then we use A to append to it. And then we appended an ID, and then a surname, first name, date of birth, and male or female. And we kept on appending while this condition was, while new ID did not equal XXX. So if the user typed in XXX, it's the same as them wanting to leave. So the write method wrote this line, this string, into the text file, and it says comma separated values. So all these variables were concatenated together using commas and with a new line at the end to make sure that we didn't have them all in just one continuous line. And then we close the file. So that's what the writing to Python file looked like. And then, of course, by doing that, we had a file that we could use. So I find the file, family file, and it looked like this. So I added 3 members of the family, and then I stopped. So now what we want to do is read that file and take information from it so that we can... and it would be very typical that you'd have a text document in your exam that you need to read from. So this is the line here where we can read a file. So using the read mode by putting R in there. So I initialize a variable, family file equals open, the open statement, and then the exact file name that was existing already in the same directory, and open it in read mode. So what I can do now is create a program that reads through each line and then maybe only gives me certain information depending on what I want. So what I'm going to do is say family record. How about that? Family record equals family file, and I'm going to use this read line method. And if I print that out, I'll just clear it. You can see it reads each line. And when I read a line, then I can do something useful with it. And one of the really useful string methods we can use is the split statement. So I'm going to create a while loop, and I'm going to say while our family record does not equal an empty string, because at the moment if it reads each file, each line, there'll be something in it, except for after the third one there'll be nothing. So as long as there's something in the line it's reading, then keep on looping over. And then I'm going to say field, so I'm going to get in Chinese here, field equals, and this is the clever bit, the line that we're reading, so that's stored into family rec dot split, and I'm going to split at a certain point every time I see a comma. So this is a super useful string method where we can split up our data into comma separated values. And I'll show you soon what that looks like, but essentially it will be an array. It will split, so I'll put here once split, the string looks like this, and it's an array with all the different parts, a Python list essentially. And and this are mutable data structures, so I can amend and I can change things. I can delete things. I can remove things. There's lots I can do. So this is super useful because I can each item here is like I can index, I can isolate via indexing, and that makes things a lot more versatile on my end if I want to actually sort of do something with this data. Anyway, let's carry on. So I've got ID, and that's going to be at field index 0, so the very first item, right? That's going to be at position 0. Surname's going to be position 1. First name's at position 2. Male or female's at position 3. So split generates a list from a string and splits it up. So that's at position 1. First name, and then I'm going to put equals field position 2, date of birth, field position 3, and then position 4. There we go. And always I have to close the file, so I'm just going to do that now. After I've done whatever I need to do, I need to close it up. So I'm just going to do that for housekeeping. I'm just going to put that in there. So what do we want to do? Let's say I've got three records in there, but I only want to print out the records that have female at the end. Maybe I want to ignore any male ones. I just want to look at female records in the family. So I'm going to use a conditional statement. I'm going to say if does equal, if sex does equal F with a new line character at the end, because it'll be at the very end of the line, there'll be a new line character there, which it's invisible to us, but it is in there. So if there's an F at the end of the line, then I'm going to print out ID, surname, first name, date of birth, and male or female. And then one last thing, I put in here family rec equals what did I call it? Family file read line. So let's run this and see what happens. Let's just clear the console. Okay, and try again. Okay, so what this has done is it's, even though there are 3 records in that file, it's only printed out the ones that were based on my conditional statement. So if I change that to, if I change that to M, it will only print out my record, and it should ditch the female ones. So if I clear that, there you go. So I can use conditional statements to isolate the different things that I need. And more importantly, I'm using indexing here to look at each part of this list that's been generated from Python. And you can do all sorts of things about, I could delete things, I can add things, I could append things, because lists are mutable data structures. And there are some other tricks that we can do with reading files, but I think for the first video, that's probably enough.